Hi, my name is Raymond Ho. I'm a first-year family medicine resident at the Prince George site with UBC. I'm pleased to be joined by Dr. Tara Freeman, first-year family medicine resident with the Rural Immersion site in Chetwynd and Tumbler Ridge, and also an incoming chair for the Society of Rural Physicians of Canada. So as you can see, we're starting with the VIPs. Thank you for taking the time out of your extremely busy schedule. And just to maybe start off, just a little bit of background about yourself and why choose family medicine.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ray. As mentioned, my name is Tara Freeman. I am an R1 in Chetwynd, Tumbler Ridge, so the UBC Rural Immersion Family Medicine site. Um, I did my training in at University of Alberta, just in Edmonton, and then kind of made the switch to come out here. Um, why family medicine, I guess, or like why did I come to Chetwynd? Maybe couple different parts of it. I think one part being I'm a very independent, self-directed learner. I've always kind of known that. So I was looking for a program that gave me a lot of autonomy, a lot of really good exposure, um, and maybe a little bit of flexibility and wiggle room to kind of find who I am as a physician and what really works for me. The rural immersion program specifically, that is exactly what they are. So they offer tons of autonomy, tons of very cool exposure. They're not rotation or service based. So you are seeing everything you need for all your competencies, typically out of one site. And it is a rural site. So there's going to be things like low resource settings, dynamics of patient transfers, stuff like that going on. And the preceptors just make it exceptional. So far, my experience in 2 months here, I'm kind of rambling, aren't I? It's one of those
No,
things.
no, this is perfectly fine. Yeah, you actually were going. My next question was, maybe what connected with you in that the rural immersion uh, sort of environment, and specifically, if you want to talk about Chetwynd or Tumbler Ridge, that you found that were like highlights, if there was any particular example that comes to mind, and yeah, and probably what sort of you feel like sets the rural immersion apart in terms of its strengths.
Are you okay if I do a little bit more of a backtrack and kind of re-answer that?
Absolutely, yeah, and
Why
whatever you want
family
to talk about.
medicine?
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, yeah, this is also my first time doing this, so I'm just like, I have no idea what's
We're
going
all
on.
learning.
Totally. So, as far as kind of why family medicine and why rural family medicine specifically, I think for me, it was all about the scope. So I have always been very independent and self directed, but I'm also a problem solver and I really like seeing full scope as far as I like seeing diversity. I want to, be able to do a trauma at one day, but then also be, doing some obs another day, maybe, and then some chronic disease management the next, right? And treating patients like in the full scope from pediatrics to palliative care, everything in between. There's never going to be the same day twice, never going to be, maybe slower or, maybe even a little bit boring. Not going to have that vibe because you're seeing everything. True diversity, always problem solving, always changing. And then rural specifically, you're also dealing with the dynamics of low resource settings, uh, dynamics of patient transfer, higher level of care, where you have specialists, where you don't. We're doing a lot of virtual access to specialists and consultation services now, which is very cool. So you're working with a doc that, is hundreds of kilometers away in another city and they're advising you on hands-on procedures in the moment. So really, I think family medicine and rural family medicine specifically for the scope, true generalist diversity, and then also for the diversity of experience and just the interest you're going to get in that field.
Sounds pretty amazing. And because family medicine is more like a choose your own adventure, you get to see a little bit of everything. You get to focus on what you're interested in. The barrier to entry in terms of learning opportunities seem, very exceptionally good for learners. And also, in addition to part of what the intro was, the opportunities for leadership also seem to be, a big thing too.
Yeah, I think what you said with choose your own adventure really resonates. You can take on as much or as little of anything as you feel. So I mean, if you're a bit nervous going in and having a hard time, the program is so supportive. All the preceptors are so supportive. They can totally be here for you and just take little bits at a time, full supervision, direct observation, and learn those skills, at your comfort.
Mhm.
If you're like me and you like a bit more challenging medicine and want to dive into things, or have a strong history in leadership and advocacy, which is also myself, there's lots of opportunities to lead locally, to have more autonomy and independence, um, and then kind of establish those skills as you go on. So for myself, I mean, locally, I'm the R1 resident representative for the Rural Immersion program. So I like to be involved in the conversations and advocacy around making our rural immersion program stand out and really be the best it can be. Um, with my preceptors in like the clinical practice, they like to give me a lot of autonomy and freedom. So if I am comfortable and within my scope of knowledge, I can do the procedures. I can, see the patient and then just check in with them after. Kind of whatever I'm comfortable with and knowing my own boundaries, of course, can do. And then I also like to be involved on a larger scope. So uh, I kind of skipped the provincial level, if I'm being honest, and I went straight to advocacy at the national level. So I did apply and was accepted as the incoming SRPC resident committee, so Society of Rural Physicians of Canada resident committee co-chair. It's a 2-year term, so I will be doing that leadership and advocacy as well, kind of promoting rural family medicine and rural medicine in general across the board, specifically at the resident level, and really highlighting how incredible our resident experience and programs are. And also, seeing what we can do for areas of improvement, seeing how we can make the resident experience truly exceptional.
That's wonderful. And we're very lucky to have you in that position. If we had any questions or we had any needs as residents to maybe increase opportunities in the north, particularly in the rural immersion sites, that's fantastic that we have a voice with you, and to have it so early on that you have a lot of support moving in, and it's not such an abrupt transition. Let's say once you're finished residency, maybe that support would be not as strong, or it would be a little bit harder now that you feel like you probably have um, enough support and guidance in the leadership aspect as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point on kind of multiple levels. So for the leadership, but even just the transition to residency, I know a lot of people talk about that and they're really nervous about the transition to residency. It's a big step, kind of like getting into med school, big step, getting into residency, another big step, right into practice, another huge step. And so far, I mean, I'm only 2 months in here, but this transition to residency, specifically in this program with rural immersion, has been amazing. Like, they are so supportive, so fantastic. They make it easy to feel comfortable and like you can thrive in the program. They totally are flexible and tailor their supports to the learner. So, my supports are not going to be the same as another co-resident. And we all are, bringing our own skills and differences of experience, and they're willing to embrace that and kind of help us do the best we can with our own individual context.
It sounds like the transition over the first few months has been fairly smooth, and the supports that you've been getting, is there anything in particular like that the program has helped you with to sort of adjust to residency life now?
I mean, they've just been here at all points. I think I've done pretty good with the adjustment to residency. And I think part of it is probably the adjustment to the community too. So, I mean, for context, I didn't live in Edmonton when I was there for my undergraduate, or sorry, for my University of Alberta medical schooling, but I lived an hour outside, so in a bit of a more rural community with a hobby farm acreage. And so moving to Chetwynd in the Tumbler Ridge area, I also got a property. And so it's just been nice because they've been, there's been little offers of like, do you need help moving in, or things like that, or like, check out the farmers market, that kind of make you settle into the community really fast. So that transition has been really smooth, kind of the home life, but then also the transition to the new responsibility and opportunities available as a resident as well.
and you're still surrounded by cute animals.
Yes, so we lost a few of our animals, or rather, we had to sell a few of our animals for the move, but we still have our two huge dogs and a cat running around. And then there's also the wildlife, of course. So there's like lots of deer, bear, moose, all sorts of other things in the Chetwynd and Tumbler Ridges areas.
That's wonderful. Is there anything that's surprised you about the transition to residency?
Maybe not surprising, because I think why I chose Chetwynd and Tumbler Ridge, really the selling point for me was actually our program like site directors. Um, Talking to them, they were the ones that helped me choose this site. And so I think with their openness and communication, I had a really good idea of what I was going into. And I had a really good assurance that it was going to be a good fit from those conversations with them. I think they're kind of a selling point in themselves because they are so open and honest about things. Like there is no sugarcoating, but in the best way possible.
Mhm.
Um, you tell them what you want, and they say, "Okay, how can we make that happen?" So yeah, I mean, and no real surprises so far because that openness and communication has been mm, just great transparency, right? I know what I'm going into and I know what's coming. So far so good.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the surprise. The surprise is it's been so good.
yeah, I agree with you. Both our co-site directors are wonderful. Dr. Carr, Dr. Finkstein. Uh, they're 100% supportive. If you would like to pursue something, they will back you 100% and see what we can do, even if there has been no precedent, let's say. So I think that has also been like a wonderful surprise as well. Well, they're very upfront about being able to be supportive of us and definitely very transparent about, the challenge, but at the same time, the challenge is to prepare you to be the best, most well-rounded position possible when
Mhm.
you graduate from the program. So I was very happy about that, and a selling point for me too to join up. Uh, but one of the things that's been mentioned is work-life balance. And
Mm.
so outside of residency, what's life like?
That's totally fair. So, I mean, that's one of the things that my partner was a little bit worried about, honestly, with me going into residency was work-life balance. And, are we going to have time together? Things like that. I've been pleasantly surprised maybe by also that. Work-life balance has been fantastic here. It's a game kind of on a scale of as much or as little as you want. There is no pressure to, go beyond your hours that you're required to do. We have our post-call days off. We take the time we need. If things come up, like opportunities to go to conferences or like, different courses and learning, or if things come up in your family life, they're all very understanding of accommodating that and making it work for you. Life outside residency so far, I mean, in Chetwynd, it's been lovely. I've checked out a lot of the things. When I first got to Chetwynd was the annual chainsaw carving competition. So I got to see that. World famous chainsaw carvings. So pretty cool. I also, I mentioned the farmers market. I have checked that out, a few other things. Um, I also did a 2 week rotation already in Tumbler Ridge, kind of as another one of the communities that I'm part of. And during that, I was up a mountain basically every other day.
Nice.
So Tumbler Ridge is like this very cool combination of like historic dinosaur fossils, footprints, very cool stuff there. But then also, it's like, provincial parks, mountains, huge multi day hikes, or just day hikes into alpine terrain and lakes. So super cool. Can't stress it enough. Amazing to have that just out my back door, all within an hour. And I can check out these awesome opportunities. Usually, yeah, post call or, on a day off after clinic half day and good to go.
Nice, nice. And how far is part of Powder King from your site? Like,
Yes, so
yeah,
this is always a fun
yeah.
highlight. Powder King is only about an hour drive.
Mhm.
And in the winter, we're on Mountain Standard Time, so we don't do the daylight savings time change. So we actually gain time going that direction. So if you leave Chetwynd around 8, you arrive at Powder King around 8. And so it's kind of this fun trick of time that you can go enjoy a day on the mountain.
Very nice, very nice. Looking forward to it. I hear that it's always very popular with the resident retreat, and yeah. Sounds good. So, talking about a little bit about, you mentioned earlier that, you sort of came from Alberta, and so your experience with BC may have been limited prior to this. So what has been the experience coming from like med school in Alberta, living in Alberta, or let's say outside of BC, sort of coming into BC?
Totally. I think it really depends on which site you're going to. So even Chetwynd Tumbler Ridge is going to be different than Prince George. It's going to be different than Vanderhoof and all these other sites. So I did grow up on Vancouver Island. So I had some experience with BC in that sense. But Vancouver Island is also very different than the North, I will
It
say.
is. Yeah.
The North has been kind of similar to some areas of Alberta, if I'm being honest, especially the like west areas of Alberta, where I was living outside of Edmonton. Um, there's a lot of similarities in weather. I think we're a little bit more in the foothills here in Chetwynd, Tumbler Ridge area. Tumbler Ridge, of course, we're actually in the mountains. So I mean that's a bit different, but everyone's super friendly. It's still like that small town lifestyle. A lot of people that are working in industry. So a lot of like hardworking blue collar folks that are fantastic people to have in the community. Um, yeah, I think it's been really lovely. I think the only things about BC is just you got to change your insurance and you got to change your car stuff and all that. But I mean that's going to happen with any
Yeah.
province. You're going to have those changes.
Yeah, definitely. I would say BC is a very high demand uh, spot for a lot of applicants to come to. It's a great province to train in. It's beautiful weather for the most part, and yeah, and a lot of things are like, for example, access to skiing and outdoorsy activities amongst them as like really big draws, I would say. Um, and we did touch about on this a little bit from the conversation, but just curious, this might be early, but what kind of future plans, both short term and perhaps long term, after graduation, are you thinking of right now?
Totally. So this kind of ties into what we were talking about of the generalism and the diversity in the scope. So right now I'm trying to leave it super wide open. If there's any area of interest that kind of comes up for me through residency, I have that availability to go into that and explore it further. Of course, with family practice, you have a lot of plus ones. So if you do want to do that specialization, you can go into that area. Um, or you can just leave it wide open and build your own practice, right? Based off having training and experience under other preceptors that do the same and have those kind of practices. There's a huge need for family medicine across the entire North. I mean, the whole province, but the North in for sure. So I think there's a lot of opportunity out there as well to do some locuming, maybe short term, check out different communities, see where I fit best. Um, and then, just the combination with that of finding a community where I really love it and fit best, but then also having the scope of practice that I want for my future career. Um, and there's definitely opportunity and availability to do exactly that in the North.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then I guess most of our audience are most likely, medical students who are about to graduate, preparing for CARMS. Do you have any advice for applicants heading into the match?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll be completely transparent. CARMS did not go my way the first round. CARMS is a tough process sometimes. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and sometimes it's really hard not to take it personal. I think my biggest advice for anyone going through CARMS and kind of getting ready is just be your genuine self. Think about what makes you an amazing person, because obviously, if you've already gotten to medical school and already doing a bunch of other things, I'm sure you're already an amazing person. So, kind of just think about those highlights, put those down to paper, put those into your application, and just be true to yourself with that. Show genuinely why you are an amazing person. And with that, you tend to fall into the correct program and a situation where it's really going to fit to your strengths.
100% agree. That's definitely being genuine and just putting your best foot forward is something that a lot of site directors just want to see. They want to know you because they want to work and support you for the next 2 years plus. It's something that I would 100% agree with.
Mhm.
And just to wrap up, then we did touch on this a little bit about the Society of Rural Physicians of Canada, and you're an incoming co-chair. Uh, for those interested, that maybe we're thinking, oh well, I'm not a resident yet, I'm not a physician yet. Can I join? Uh, what's the maybe speak a little bit more about that?
Definitely. So the Society of Rural Physicians of Canada, the SRPC, has memberships for basically everyone in all levels of practice. So medical students can join, residents can join, early career physicians and long career physicians can all join. There's different membership levels, so you just go see which one is appropriate to you wherever you're at in your training. If you're thinking anything rural medicine, the SRPC is a great resource. They have lots of learning lessons or sessions rather. They have lots of, like a rural med listserv, so you can hear like what's going on in rural med communities across the country, stay connected with everyone. They do great advocacy. And like on the resident level specifically, we do a lot of rural advocacy and connections as well. And then there's the Rural and Remote Conference every year, which I will highlight that. Great opportunity to network and meet some people rurally.
Fantastic. And I will probably put the link somewhere on screen here, as well as in the description of the video. So if anybody is interested, you can check that out. And yeah, see all the great events and information and workshops that you can attend. Was there anything else that we missed, or anything else that that we didn't talk about? You think our audience might want to know?
I think we've highlighted it pretty good.
Okay.
I think maybe just the biggest thing to stress again is like the biggest highlight about the rural immersion specifically is that autonomy and independence, and the fact that they are going to have so much great exposure to absolutely everything. And they are typically the only learner there. So you're the one who gets to do it all, learn
Nice.
firsthand everything you want, which is
Fantastic.
just so cool.
And that, I think we have a great interview. Again, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Freeman. And again, check out our Instagram, Prince George, which covers the Northern Rural Immersion sites. See all the interesting social events that we're having, and also look out for our information on the next Q&A session, where I'm sure Tara will answer any other questions you might have after this video, and probably myself as well. All right. Thanks,
Thanks.
Tara.